there seems to be some measure or level of inconsistency. I want to believe that Mr. President was at that meeting where these resolutions were passed. And what we are used to observing is that at the end of such very serious issues, there will be the press secretary to the president will make a release. But what I read seemed to be like a group of persons, stakeholders met. I'm not quite sure whether Mr. President was there or not. And few fellows signed. And I didn't see much of the elder statesmen from Rivers State, 2 or 3 that ordinarily should have been present at that strategic meeting. To that extent, I'm at a loss, really swallowing what I seem to have read. I happen to have allied myself with the elders and leaders of thought in the state. And we made our position very clear not too long ago. And I believe the elders will look at the whole issues again. And in their wisdom, they may come up with a position. As a former parliamentarian, when I gleaned through the resolutions, I observed some conflict between the resolutions passed and the constitutional provisions. And I do know that when any issue, secular resolutions, directives are in conflict with the provisions of the Constitution, those provisions, directives or circulars, become null and void to the extent of that conflict. So it's difficult for anybody to say it could be easily implemented without further explanations from Mr. President or those that are directed to take this decision. However, I will hasten to say that when you put the entire thing together, I don't want to believe that Rivers State is a conquered state. We have our interests. And I, for one, will want a peaceful resolution of the conflict between the governor and the Honorable Minister FCT. And that will be based on broad-based consultations. You look at the sensibilities and sensitivities of the situation and of the people and come up with a panacea that will address these issues a little bit more holistically. I have said this earlier. No matter how Fubara may want to present himself as a lame dog or a humble, patriotic Rivers man or whatever, the enormity of the powers of the governor as provided for by the 1999 Constitution as altered is so much that unless he doesn't want to be governor, if not, there's no way constitutionally he will not carry out certain actions that will be in conflict with the resolutions so far passed. That is very clear. Unless he wants to stop being governor today. But if he says he's the governor of Rivers State, as announced by the INEC, the provisions which were not made by Fubara that are contained in the 1999 Constitution as amended and altered are so enormous that if he uses 50% of them, he will always be in conflict with anybody that is interfering with the powers enshrined in the Constitution for the government. The lawmakers have exercised their right, fundamental right, rightly or wrongly, to defect against the provisions of the Constitution. The Constitution could not provide conditions for return, and they cannot just return on the basis of a mere resolution of some group of persons. They resigned constitutionally and they will come back constitutionally. And there are no such constitutional provision for return. And I advised that the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Fubara, should, in a statewide broadcast, address Rivers people. Can we hear from our governor what's really going on? We're entitled to that. We cannot be taking decisions on the basis of hearsays. And you recall, the elders and leaders of thought in the state, led by His Excellency Chief Fubara Adajoi, did write both the FCT minister and the governor for a closed-door discussion, so that we know really what is going on. We don't want to be partisan, but then, like I said earlier, the interest of an average Rivers person, the interest of the average Niger Delta person is higher than that of Fubara and Wike put together. They must speak to us. They must speak to us. And that's why I say we are not a conquered people.
Okay, sir. One of the resolutions is that I think the wordings of that look like it was even like they were instructing the governor what to do. One of them is that the governor should go and represent the budget again. As a parliamentarian, has that ever happened before? Or is that allowed?
I wouldn't want you to push me beyond what I have said. I have summarily said that the resolutions passed are replete with conflicts. I mean, yes, the resolution in many areas are in conflict with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended and altered. I want to summarize it that way. There are no such provisions. There is a clear-cut procedure for presenting a budget, and that has been done. There is no constitutional provision on how it will be represented. And when you talk of a governor representing, when you talk of governor resubmitting the list of commissioners that have resigned, you are treading into some areas of constitutional conflict. I don't know. I'm not equipped here and now to talk about the weaknesses in all of that. They may know better how all that will be resolved.
In the coming days, do you foresee peace? Is this document a panacea for peace in the state, or is this just a makeshift, will I say, something that is going to be back over the cracks? Do you think this is a document that will actually bring lasting peace politically?
Even with the world wars and all wars that have taken place in history, there was peace at the end of the day. In Rivers State, there will definitely be peace. The right levers have to be touched.